On his way home.
What?
He's on his way home right now.
I asked him last week when I talked to him, I said, when you come home Sunday, I'll be home Sunday morning.
Yeah, he said.
Ready. So we can't vote here.
All right, so it is 2:34. And I'd like to call the January meeting of the CMH Board of Directors to order. I also do a quick roll call so we know who's here in person and who's online. Bob Brown.
Yes, here.
Al Dannenberg. Here. Terry Goldberg. Jim Hochler. Dave Farnan. Here. Del Serrano. Here. Bonnie Vanderswaard.
Here.
Doug Zylstra here. Matt Fensky. Beth Larson. And Julie Kenyon. That is not a quorum.
Right.
Okay, for in-person voting. But we will go straight to the invocation. Dear Lord, be with us in our deliberations today. Grant us the gift of your grace, the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. In your name, amen. All right, I will, as Matt always does, make folks aware of the mission statement. Read that and move on to public comment. If we have any public comment. All right, public comment is closed.
We do have a couple people, but
there are people.
Oh, sorry.
No one indicating that they want to speak. So.
But there are no hands up, Patricia?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so we'll close public comment. Skip item 6 then.
Just state their.
Yeah, just
everything is
okay.
received for information.
Their agenda and minutes go straight to old business. Is there only old business?
No business.
All right, and go straight to new business. January service contracts, attachment A.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first contract is a new contract with an AFC provider. They're located in Grand Haven, Michigan, using the standard regional boilerplate, and that went in effect January 1st. The next two are part of the SAMHSA Systems Care Grant. The neurosequential network training will assist with expanding knowledge of trauma-informed clinical practices, ensuring that clinicians throughout Ottawa County are using best practices and working with youth and families. And then Christine Buffington is certified through the Trauma-Focused Cognitive Behavioral Therapy National Therapist Certification. That's a mouthful. Training to behavioral health providers in the community that have only basic exposure to trauma-informed care. The trainings include face-to-face training and monthly coaching calls for approximately 1 hour. And this will go on for 2 years with one cohort per year. And the following costs listed is associated with the SAMHSA System of Care Grant. The next contract is a new AFC provider, Coleman's AFC, and that's located in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The next 6 are all part of our residential millage funding. Each of these providers are receiving a one-time payment for the provision of in-county residential stabilization support and assistance in aiding the provider with the direct care staff recruitment and retention, and to assist with compensating for non-related direct care expense and room and board. I have the funding amount listed for each of those in the financial category. I did include Georgetown just because I was including all of the other ones, so I thought I would include it even though it's under the 50,000 threshold.
Any questions on service contracts for January? Moving on to December, CMHOC financial report.
And Keith is on the phone.
Okay, Keith is saying he's not hearing anything.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Sorry, I had some technical difficulties.
No, you're not alone.
Okay, I don't know where we're at. Are you ready for me?
Yeah.
Yep, we're ready for the financial reports.
Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is the presence of yellow on this month's report. And the reason behind that is the LRE has yet to give us our final rates for October, November, and December. So right now, it's still the presumption that the rates are going to be where they say they're going to be, but we have not seen actual revenue come in yet. It was supposed to be the Friday before last, and it was talking to Stacia last week. It was supposed to be last Friday. Now it's Monday, still don't have those rates. They have given some preliminary payments because of some of our other members are struggling with cash flow, understandably, because they're not paying where they should be. So that's why the presence of yellow. But if we look at the mental health budget, we see our revenues down, almost a projected 3 million from where it should be. There's no autism funds, so that, when you look at SUD, there's no Medicaid or Healthy Michigan funds, all because of the final payments have not been sent through. If we look at, we do have plenty of cash to hold us over, thankfully. So that isn't a worry for us, like some of our members, but we are pressuring them every day to give us those final payments, and they're supposedly forthcoming. So hopefully next board meeting, I'll report that we have all 3 months of those, and we're ahead of the curve.
Keith, Commissioner Dannerberg, Keith or Lynn. Okay, is the LRE the one that we're waiting on, or are they waiting from the state?
The LRE, who we're waiting from, they have the money, and she's just trying to figure out how to divide it up.
Oh. Yeah. Has she heard of the term overtime?
Yeah, they've had a lot of expansion and the issues with Beacon, and so that is kind of the excuse on the delay.
Okay.
So
thank you.
But our contractual services are picking up, as everyone was working on cleaning up prior year. October's so slow, and November picks up in December. We see we're rising right back up to getting close to where we should be contractually. So even though our expenses are always slow at the beginning of the year, and we can see that even with the delayed revenue, we're still just slightly in the red. It's a little bit different with SUD. So we have no revenue coming in there, and so they're $400,000. That fund is $400,000 in the hole because of the no cost settlement in the revenue, or the no final rates in the revenue. The millage, we started to see some millage money coming in property taxes, which is good. We should see January and February, the 2 main months that we'll see that. We do see expenses and contractual services pick way up. We did just file for over $500,000 of grant revenue that should be coming in. That actually should be receipted today. So you see why grant revenue is so low. So the CARES grant and the CCBHC grant. The CCBHC grant alone was for $424,000 that will be receipted in today. So next month you'll see that pick way up. So that's part of the reason obviously we don't get the property taxes until January, February, and then two, we don't get the grants are a little slow coming in because it's the first time filing the CCBHC grant. And so the contractual services, half of that is just for almost half of that's just for the CCBHC grant. And then, so we look at our Medicaid funding. So we have received $7.5 million of funding with the preliminary payments. So there's no settlement payments, which is why the massive deficit between the budget. Any questions on the financial reports? Besides the obvious pressure on the LRA to send us the final payments for those 3 months.
Questions? Okay. We'll move on to the budget amendment 2. Is that just a motion, or is there information with that?
So Keith will want to review it. So
okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear very well. Are we on to the budget amendment?
Yeah, sorry, Keith, that's budget amendment 2.
Okay. So the budget amendment 2, we have 3 things happening. A small position increase in mental health and the furniture remodel. No new expenses or revenue, but we just moved some expenses around to cover those costs. In SUD, we see the COVID budget. So that 200,000 we received, or the large amount we received last year, we didn't use most of, and we didn't know if it was going to continue. So you see a massive budget adjustment of increased revenue for the $676,000 and an ASAM reimbursement from the LRE. So that's what totals that $676,000 of new money. So that included some positions and mostly contractual client care being funded out of that. In the millage, with the COVID grant, the same thing. A huge carryover from last year plus budgeting for it this year. And then we have CCBHC positions and community navigator positions, both included in those. And so that's a balanced budget adjustment as well. So no use of fund balance for any of the budget adjustments, either new revenue or moving expenses to cover.
Any questions on budget amendment number 2? Thank you, Keith. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
How would you like to approach it, the resolution then? I'll just talk to Tyler.
I think we can talk about it.
Okay.
We can't vote on it, but I'm happy to go over it. All right. So, as you can see in your packet, there is a resolution that we're hoping that this board will support and sign once we're able to vote on that. I've been talking about the bills that Senator Shirkey has put forward for a couple of months now. These are bills that will significantly change the structure of the funding for public mental health and have those funds go to Medicaid health plans as opposed to coming to the system as it does now. I've shared in the past that I have quite a few concerns about Senator Shirkey's bills. Primarily, his bills would get rid of public governance, public oversight, and public involvement in the system. Most of the health plans, Medicaid health plans in Michigan, are private for-profit companies. Their headquarters are, you name it, across the world. One's local, Priority Health. However, most of them are, in different states. And I think that the public process that we know it right now would change significantly. And I've got some very big concerns about not having those voices heard and having that oversight be local. The aspect that these companies, for the most part, are for-profit companies is also very concerning to me. I don't think there's much profit to be had in this type of work. Any profit that we do, any cost savings that we have to go back into services. If not, we send that back to the state. So obviously there is a lot of effort to put as much money out there into services and supports as we possibly can. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on this resolution. This multiple other CMHs in the state have done a very similar resolution. I think it sends a strong statement to our legislators that we don't think that this is the way to go, that there are other solutions to the problems that exist in the mental health system. This has also been brought for your information to the Board of Commissioners for Ottawa County Planning and Policy Committee, where it was approved to move forward to the Board of Commissioners at tomorrow's meeting. So I'm not sure where that will end up, but this would be in addition to the Board of Commissioners.
Do we have any idea how this is going? You know what I mean? Like,
Like where, as far as, is it a popular?
yeah. I mean,
Well, right now it's in the Senate. The bills are in the Senate. It was in committee, but Senator Shirkey put his bills, the proposals into a very small committee that he chairs.
okay.
So that committee voted it out to the Senate. What we're hearing is that within the next couple of weeks, it's likely that he'll start bringing these bills back out for discussion.
Okay.
And trying to move them forward through the Senate and then into the House.
And this is his last year, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So,
And he has stated that,
by golly.
yeah, he's going to get this done.
So then they at MAC conference night, do I have this right, Al? This happened at this morning's MAC conference that MAC was reporting that it's basically February 28 or never. And is that kind of the sense that you get? That's the kind of, that's the sense that they had got from their lobbyists, that January, February, and if it's not by March 1, then it's off the table. So,
Yeah, I haven't heard that exactly, but I have
that was
heard
just Mac's
that
characterization of the progress.
we're also hearing through our board association that they also believe that these will get pushed on again at the end of January, beginning of February, throughout February.
Now, she also said that every county, Doug, I thought she said is really working hard.
I think there were
against their
20 some resolutions out there already.
Yeah, against their senators, really working on it. So some of us commissioners did talk about this. We all feel Roger's going to vote for it.
We are, yes.
Right, Jim, were you there too? Yeah, that's what we all felt. And I talked to Jim Story out of Allegan. He had the same feeling about Nesbitt. So
okay.
But we're all lining up to talk to them to say we're going to support you in the next election.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's what we do. Jim Story and me, we both said, you know, if these guys would understand that when in 3 years, 4 years after this is all passed, find out how mental health has changed and it's not working. You know, I said, I would like your names attached to billboards and say, mental health was a problem. It's because of these guys. So remember that last name. But
this is the second time that they'll be against us.
Yes, they will be.
Well, I certainly appreciate any help you can give us in talking with Roger or any of our legislators. I've had those discussions and I plan to continue to keep in communication with them.
Lynn?
Yes.
And I just have a question. What exactly happens with the resolution after I'm assuming that we will, I mean, if we support it and make this resolution, where does it go and what authority or what does it have as far as power or influence?
Well, so the resolution states that it will be sent to our legislators, including the governor and all of our local representatives and Senator Victory and Representative Mary Whiteford. We didn't talk much about her bills, but she's also got bills out there that would make some pretty significant changes to our system. But nonetheless, I think, Bonnie, it's a statement that, a formal statement from this body that says that we're not in favor of the bills. I think, you know, standing alone, Ottawa County CMH's board of directors might not have a whole lot of power or influence. But when you combine that with every single CMH in Michigan, and hopefully potentially every county in Michigan, I think it sends a strong message to our legislators that they should listen to us.
Okay, thank you. And then we will be acting separately from the commissioners, correct? I was quite, is this something that is off, the way it is written, offered by Commissioner Blank and supported by Commissioner Blank? Is that, what's the relationship there? We're acting as a board, correct?
Right. And Bonnie, that was a mistake. We edited this from
perfect
from Board of Commissioners, so it really should be
okay. Thank you.
From our board
member.
Yeah.
Yep. And I would, before we had it signed, I would make that revision. I'm glad you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. So much like the rest of our meeting today, we're going to have to vote on these at a different time when we have quorum.
Yes.
Okay, the county board is voting on this tomorrow.
Yes.
No, that's a different one.
No,
This is their own. This is the mental health.
Correct.
We're
Right.
voting on the county.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
we got the resolution from the county,
Yeah.
but I do report to board member.
From our lawyer to you.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Any more questions on the resolution? We'll see this in February, and we can all vote on it in February. So we'll go straight into the executive director's report now.
Sure.
Lynn, this is Bob. Do you still have to do your executive director's report and such?
I do.
Can you go ahead and do that, folks? And I'm gonna come in so we can vote on these things today.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
I get it, yeah.
Bob, I actually, I think by the time you got here, some others have to leave. I know, Doug, you had a pressing appointment, so I appreciate it, but
You gotta go. I could stay, but if Dave's gotta go, then
no, we're
I'm
good.
going to Puerto Rico.
Oh, no, you need to cancel that for the
Yeah, that's right. Come on,
resolution.
Dave, what's more important?
We're good, Bob. Thank you,
Yeah.
though.
Okay.
Sometimes things just don't cooperate as far as.
Yeah, well, I apologize for my confusion.
No, you're fine. Nope. So I'll give you some information from the state. We continue to talk about the difficulty that most CMHs are struggling with to find staff. It still continues to be a problem. We're having quite a bit of difficulty filling, especially master's level, clinician level positions. We've had some of our positions open now for going on probably 8 months. The state is aware of the difficulties throughout the state, and they are working on some solutions. Al Jansen is back part-time. He's only doing special projects, and one of his projects is that staffing crisis. I talked to Al briefly and told him about our efforts with Grand Rapids Community College in trying to set up a certification program. He was very interested in that. I asked him if there might be some funding available to help support that, and he couldn't make any promises, obviously, but he said that he would definitely use it as a potential pilot recommendation when he's working with the powers that be and the budget. We had a meeting recently with MDHHS to talk about a variety of things, but one thing that we spent some time on was talking about the KB lawsuit. And that is a lawsuit that was waged, a class action lawsuit by some parents against the department, stating that their children were not receiving adequate services. And so over the last months, the department has been working to try to come up with solutions. And one of those things is likely going to be that they will mandate children's mobile crisis 24 hours, 7 days a week. It is currently in our contract to do a children's mobile crisis, but it's not mandated at any particular amount of time. We have let them know, we and many other CMHs and regions have let them know that it's incredibly difficult to stand up that program. If you'll recall, we've tried to stand up a children's mobile crisis team 3 different times and have been unsuccessful, mainly due to the lack of referrals. Despite us going out into the community and letting people know that this was available, we frequently got maybe 1 call a month. So if you can imagine a team of 2 people, which is mandatory, basically sitting around for a phone call, it doesn't make for a very good job. So we've had a very difficult time keeping staff, and we are currently without staff. Both of our mobile crisis workers have resigned in the last quarter. So we are working with, we're brainstorming about what we can do. We have a couple ideas out there with some follow-up that we have to do to talk to some other agencies about possibly partnering with us, but I'll keep you up to date on that.
Lynn?
Yep.
The ones that quit in the last quarter, did you do do you get to do an exit interview with them?
Human Resources does.
Okay.
And we spoke with them as well.
And did they say why they're leaving?
For the reasons I said, it's really, their idea of what the job would be was not what it ended up being. They wanted to work, they wanted to be called out and, you know, go on these crisis calls, and we didn't get any. So we were having them do some other work, but that's also not what they, you know, that's not what they thought their job was going to be.
So were they able to go to another private place and do what they wanted to do?
I don't know where they ended up working after they left us. I'm sure my staff knows.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't the money, or could money have played into it too?
Oh, no, nobody was, you know, they might have said something about, they might have found a job that paid more, but that's not the reason they gave us for why they were leaving.
Okay. Thank you. Just asking why.
Sure.
Why, I mean, Lisa said it at the Health and Human Service meeting, she can't find a nurse, registered nurse, you know, and
but then Kendra at DHS said that she was successful in finding workers.
She was, yeah.
So that's actually one of our ideas, is to speak with them and see if they would like to partner with us on implementing that program. We'll see what she has to say.
Thank you, Lynn.
They partnered with us on one of the iterations that we did with Children's Mobile Crisis, but they still weren't busy enough. From the Lakeshore Regional entity, there's actually quite a bit going on. I've kept you up to date about the contract. As you know, they are on a month-to-month contract right now, and it looks like they're getting towards the final stages of an agreement with MDHHS to end that month-to-month contract and go on a full year. The things that are included in the understanding is some additional reporting requirements, but it's nothing that they don't feel like they can't get done. So I think that will be solved within the next couple of weeks. That agreement, however, excluded anything to do with the past liabilities. The department didn't want any of that in there. So that's being addressed through the lawsuit part of this agreement that Muskegon County, if you'll recall, actually sued the LRE, and the LRE turned around and sued the department for those loss of funds. So that is still in progress. What they're doing right now is trying to, it's been recommended that they find expert testimony on the use of current Medicaid funds to pay for past liabilities. So I believe that's what they'll be doing next, is trying to find that expert opinion. So I'll keep you up to date on that. Another big thing that's happening at the region is they are making updates and changes to the bylaws and the operating agreement. Those both went to the board, the LRE board last week, with the hopes of getting them approved at the board. They then have to come to each individual CMH and get approved, but they pretty much stalled out due to some really good discussion about board membership. The changes that they're recommending in the board for the LRE is that each CMH will appoint 3 board members. Right now, the way the membership is designed is based on population of each county. So Ottawa has 3 representatives, Allegan has 2, Kent County has 5, Network 180. The suggestion is that we go to a straight 3-member per county, which means there would be 15 directors total. And the other pretty significant change in that language about the board membership is that it would exclude anyone who had held a contract with the community mental health. So any of our provider organizations that we contract with would not be able to sit on that board. That is a change from the current process. One of our members right now is Peg Driesinga, who is the CEO at Harbor House, one of our contract agencies. If these changes are were to occur, Peg could no longer sit on that board. And there was quite a bit of discussion about whether or not the rest of the board supported that. What I said I would do is come back and talk to our boards about our thoughts and feelings on that. I don't mind the 3 appointees. Obviously, it won't change for Ottawa because we have 3 appointees right now. I think it would be, in some ways, you know, the same amount of, you know, the same vote amount for every county, as opposed to someone having more members that could vote.
What was the logic behind 3 across the board? I mean, it makes sense that there's some sort of population equivalency on the board. But...
just to be fair, just to say that no single county had more representation on the board than another.
Well, that's not necessarily fair, but.
Well, that was their interpretation.
Right.
Yep.
It just seems like maybe that's the opposite argument.
Yeah.
And what was their reasoning for getting rid of that one particular position you were talking about?
For the contract agencies to be on the board? Well, it was stated in the meeting that it was mental health code. That in the mental health code, when it talks about board membership, it excludes contract agencies. That language is primarily written for the CMHs, so we don't have any board members on, or any contract agencies on our board. The conflict of interest there obviously is we, you know, financially we could impact a provider. However, the LRE doesn't hold any contracts with service providers, so
No, but we do, and it is a conflict for us. So why would we send a representative over there?
So
I understand
that's the point. That was
and
their
I
point.
understand the need to have that perspective. I mean, they should understand what's going on in that area, seeing that we depend on them so much.
Yeah,
But
and that was the counter argument,
right.
was that we're going to
But if
lose.
they're going to represent us as a 3 board member, doesn't that apply in the same way that applies to no board member, not being a board member? I assume they're going to represent this group.
Correct. So I'd argue that any one of our board members would have a very similar conflict if they were to sit on the LRE board. Because if you're talking about finances and distribution of Medicaid dollars, I would think that any one of our board members would have a conflict if Ottawa County was going to be negatively impacted. So I can see both ways. I did ask Doug Van Ossen for his opinion about whether or not a CMH contracted provider could sit on the LRE board. And when he reviewed the mental health code, he did not think it was that it was prohibited. That the language actually, if there was an owner of a business, but if the person is an employee of that business, then it would not, it's not prohibited according to the mental health code. So I think what I will do with these changes that are being talked about is send out an email so that you guys have a chance to review it and look at it. We're not being asked to vote right now, but we will eventually, if those bylaws and the operating agreement will come back to this board for approval. So I want to make sure that you have all the information you need to feel comfortable approving or not approving those changes. The other big change that's coming or is being suggested in the operating agreement, and I've been talking about this for a couple of months, is a change to the funding formula. We currently use a model that is 50% historical spending and 50% per enrollee per month, so PEPM. And that has been in place since the LRE started, and it was a way to kind of protect the CMHs from what would have been very huge and catastrophic reductions in funding if we had gone to a strictly per enrollment per month method to begin with. If you'll recall 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if we had gone to purely per enrollee per month, we would have lost about $6 million. So this formula, this 50% historical funding, 50% PEPM, was put in place to try to protect some of the CMHs that were going to lose a lot of money. So in the years since then, the department has done a really good job of adjusting their rate formulas to better reflect actual need and who you're serving. So when you look at the calculations right now of what a 100% PEPM methodology would look like, Ottawa will still lose some funds, about $500,000. But it's nothing compared to the $6 million that we were looking at several years ago. Keith just got done telling you we don't know our exact numbers, but we believe that we will be able to absorb that $500,000 loss and still be fine with our funding for this year and years going forward. So that's also coming, that's in the operating agreement. So that's something that the LRE board will need to agree to, and then that will come to us. And again, I have made my voice heard. I hope very clearly that any funding methodology that we use has to pay careful attention to the finances of each CMH, and we can't let one CMH or several CMHs struggle and suffer while some CMHs have more money than they have to spend. So I've tried to make the LRE very aware that we need to be flexible if the time came when there had to be some adjustments made. Does anyone have questions on that? Like I said, I will send it out an email. Hopefully that explains things pretty succinctly. I can give you copies of both the old and new, the revised versions of the bylaws and the operating agreement. So you can see where the changes have been suggested. And hopefully I can answer any questions. If not, I can go back to the LRE and pose those questions. So real briefly, I'll go over what's happening here at CMH. We continue to have quite a few people out with COVID, like the rest of the world, staff and consumers. Thankfully, most people are having mild symptoms, but nonetheless, I think on a daily basis, I get an email that one of our staff is out. We continue to wear masks in all of our offices. And as you know, there's some debate going on right now about the vaccine mandate and whether or not county departments have to follow that. I've been in close contact with Doug Van Essen and Lisa Stefanowski, and I think we'll have an answer within the next couple of days. The consensus of the rest of the CMHs in the state is that community mental health organizations do not have to abide by the mandate. It has everything to do with a certification. The federal government certifies certain organizations who provide some Medicaid and Medicare services. The CMHs in Michigan are not certified. So they're arguing that the mandate does not apply to us.
Do you have an idea about population, vaccinated population?
For our staff?
Yeah. How hard would that hit our staff?
So we have 155 employees, and I believe there are 24 people who are not vaccinated at this point. And I think it,
does that come up to?
yeah. Yep. So we, yeah, I think so too. We have had staff who said that they will leave their job if they're forced to get the vaccine, which is not a good thing. I'm fully vaccinated. I believe in vaccinations, but at the moment, the county, unless it's a mandate, I don't know that we will be required to go through with that. So I'll keep you informed on that. I wanted to let you know that we found out earlier this month that the Sheriff's Department received another grant related to mental health and law enforcement. Our grant writer, Jamie, did another excellent job of helping to write that grant. He's been very successful. This grant will help to further the CIT program. So that's a crisis intervention team. Those are the people who are going out with the Sheriff's Office and Holland Police Department to go on mental health calls, crisis calls.
Do we have much data on that yet or not?
They're just beginning, but they are being pretty good about collecting data. I think Tim probably will have something for the first quarter within the next couple of weeks. From anecdotally, we've heard from the sheriff, we've heard from various community partners how much they appreciate that team. They're already doing some really amazing work. Just being able to spend time with an individual to talk about what the issues are, spend time and then follow up with them to get them resources that they need, if it's housing or whatever it is. It's been a pretty cool thing. So this grant primarily will help to fund additional training for the police officers and pay for the backfill of those positions when those police officers are in training. So among other things, that grant is going to be helpful in moving that team and that service forward. So we're pretty excited about that.
Does that have any impact or any connection with the city police department?
Yep, we are. So Holland Police Department was right in there from the beginning. they have one officer assigned to the CIT program, and the sheriff's office has one officer. So, and then we've got 2 staff to make up a team each. We have been communicating with Zealand and Grand Haven police departments as well to see, if we can help them and grow this program. Matt Messer was pretty fantastic and enthusiastic in getting this rolling. He's been a really good partner. So I'll just state again that I truly appreciate my staff. They've been dedicated through this entire COVID issue and come to work and do their jobs. So I don't know if I say it enough, but I truly appreciate the hard work that all of us do around here. Yeah, Patricia too. Yep, and that's all I have.
Well, I find I think the board appreciates the staff and all you do, so.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Second public comment, do we have any public comment? Okay.
I don't see anybody indicating as much.
Close public comment, and we need a motion to adjourn, or we should adjourn with nothing. We're just gonna walk out the door.
And go to Puerto Rico.
Right. We will, we'll let you know how we're gonna handle the voting and stuff, so.
Yeah, just catch up on some.
Let us know how Puerto Rico is recovering.
Dave will
My new one's, my old one's built.
Let me get a date on it.